Hey everyone, welcome back to the Roto Grinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevie TPFL. It's June 6th. It's Monday. We're back. I know you guys missed us on the weekends, but hey, we need a couple days off as well. So take a couple days off, but we're right back on the grind here with this Monday slate. It's a nice 10-game slate, and I got my normal Monday guest. Hoop, how you doing, my friend?
Doing well, man. Even better. Another Golden State Warriors victory tonight. They're up 27 points heading into the fourth quarter, and we hopped on. So life is good, and anytime you can acquire some big T-bucks, life is even better.
You know, I'm gonna have Tony on this week now, so he can take a jab back at you.
Yeah, you got to get him on for some rebuttal. But, the Warriors peers are going to just float right through this series without much competition.
You know what his rebuttal is going to be? He's going to be like, yeah, well, I was drinking at the Playboy Mansion this weekend. What were you doing?
Yeah, I was at home not doing anything. So I guess he wins in that department.
I was working. So, yeah, we all lose in this compared to those guys. Did you see Dan Bach's shirt?
Yeah, I did.
Killing me, man. Killing me. All right, before we get into these 10 games, let's talk about our sponsor, FantasyDraft.com. We're going to do something fun with Fantasy Draft on Friday when you join me again, Hoop. A week ago or so, you were talking about their hat. We're actually going to give out one of those hats this week. So I got the okay to do whatever we want. I have an idea, so we're going to do that on Friday. We're going to do something with that $15,000 home run on Friday. So we'll give out a hat to one of the listeners here. If you haven't checked out FantasyDraft.com, make sure you guys check them out. They do sponsor the podcast. They are the reason that we are on every day, Monday through Friday. They got a bunch of these rake-free double-ups and head-to-heads again here today. High-stakes rake-free, nothing better than that. Also, a nice $10,000 home run, a little bit higher than what it's usually at. So make sure you guys check that out. Use promo code GRINDERS. That way you guys get incentives here at Roto Grinders for Fantasy Draft for free for a year. And you get a 100% deposit bonus up to $600. Mike, let's break down this slate, man. It's an awesome slate. We're going to get started off here, Kansas City at Baltimore, and we got Danny Duffy and Mike Wright at Baltimore. This is an interesting game when we're looking at these pitchers. We want nothing to do with these guys, right?
No, I definitely want nothing to do with these guys. And, honestly, as we go deeper through this slate, I think it's going to be a pretty common occurrence because there's not many solid pitching options. There's only a few viable in cash games, I think. And I think we have maybe a sneaky guy in tournaments that we can take a look at. So definitely neither of these guys. These aren't either sneaky guys. These are not any of the cash game guys you want to avoid at all costs here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Now, every day I give out 3 guys that I'm targeting for fantasy draft for cash games that I just think is just too cheap. And I think you're going to agree with me on this one. Eric Hosmer is only 6,800. He's even under 7K. I usually go under 8K. He's under 7K over on fantasy draft this morning. Mike Wright, when we're looking at his stats, he really struggles with lefties. Eric Hosmer at that price, I think you would even play him at cash at that price tag.
Yeah, it's a lot too low there. Getting a park shift, obviously, going from Kansas City to Baltimore here. Baltimore is very hitter-friendly environment. He very solid hitter, rarely strikes out. That is a nice price tag to take advantage of. There is just no doubt about that. That's about as cheap as you're going to find him around the industry. So I like him as a staple for your cash games over there on Fantasy Draft, no doubt about it. I think a lot of guys are in play here. I think another guy that we can take a look at, Lorenzo Cain. He's pretty cheap around the industry. On FanDuel, he sits at only 3.3K. He has some nice upside. I mean, this is a very nice matchup to attack, or a good environment to attack hitters on both sides. So Hosmer, where he's cheap, Cain, and if Whit Merrifield continues to bat second, I think he is in play as well.
Is it a day we might be able to roll out like a 3-man, 4-man Kansas City stack and feel comfortable with it?
Yeah, I think it really is. I mean, like I said, the park shift is definitely favorable. The pitching matchup is elite. Mike Wright is not a very good pitcher. So, I like the Royals here quite a bit.
Yeah, when we're looking at Wright, he's given up 18 home runs in 93.2 innings here, dating back to last year. So that's actually really favorable. His home run to fly ball ratio is high to lefties and righties. So I love the Lorenzo Cain call. And I'm a big Whit Merrifield fan. I've been playing him a ton And he's finally starting to run in the big leagues. So he picked up a couple stolen bases over the last few games. He's been hitting in that 2 spot. He's just a guy we can continue to look at. He's cheap on FanDuel as well. Now, looking at the Baltimore side of things, Danny Duffy's an interesting guy. He's really good against lefties, but he does struggle against righties. When we're looking at Baltimore's lineup, these guys hit right-handed pitching better for the most part, but guys like Trumbo really stand out to me. He leads the major leagues in multi-home run games this season.
He's been super impressive, and for DFS purposes, he really goes under-owned most nights. So he's one of my favorite one-off tournament guys. If you have a lineup you're looking for an outfield position to fill, I mean, I love going to him. He's typically really low-owned and offers such immense upside. So I think he's an elite play. Manny Machado has been better against right-handed pitching, but he's an elite hitter, so I like him quite a bit. Adam Jones you can take a look at. And whoever else, works their way to the top of the lineup. I mean, they've been batting this Kim guy second, but I'm guessing against the lefty, he won't be batting second. So if maybe Joey Ricard works his way up to the top of the order, I'd have some interest in him. Just another good offense here to attack on the slate.
Yeah, just play the lineup with Kim likely not going to be in the lineup. They're going to have to mix up the lineup a little bit. So if Wieters gets a lineup bump, he's another guy you can look at specifically on FanDuel with that one, because you don't really typically want to pay up for a catcher over on draft, but Wieters is definitely a guy you can look at on 3K on FanDuel. Any other bats stand out to you here?
No, I mean, both offenses, really good offenses to target. You can obviously stack them up, I think, and, pick some cheap pieces for your cash game lineups as well.
Angels at the Yankees, Tanaka, Schumacher. It just pains me to say that Schumacher's actually looked decent over his last few starts. He's still giving up a ton of hits, 17 in back-to-back or out of the last 2 games, but a lot of stuff that continues to come out about him, and I just don't know if I believe it yet. I know he's showed now like he's able to put up decent numbers. I don't know if I can get behind it, Mike.
Nah, not in this situation. This is one of the more tougher matchups he'll face. Yankee Stadium against a lineup that's going to be super loaded up with left-handed bats. So not in this situation. I mean, maybe different sort of environment, maybe, but this one, I can't do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Tanaka's pitched well this season. When we look at Tanaka, he shockingly surprised me. He was a guy at the beginning of the season I targeted a lot because he usually has that high hard contact rate. That's actually come down a little bit this season. He's not been, terrible as far as it comes to like hard contact and stuff like that. So he's an interesting option here. But the same goes like what we were just saying with Schumacher. It's still Yankee Stadium. He'll get a big bump if Pujols is out of that lineup, in my opinion. Yeah,
Pujols day to day. I'd likely assume at this point he's going to be out of the order, and obviously verify that before lineups once lineups are released. But I mean, due to the nature of the slate, I think Tanaka is a guy that we have to consider. I think cash game playable. I think definitely a good target in tournaments. John Lester's a massive favorite on the slate. I think he's likely going to be the highest owned pitcher on the slate. But I mean, John Lester is no slam dunk play. So I think Tanaka is a guy to consider in potentially in cash games where there's a big gap between him and Lester, and then even in tournaments as well. I think he's a fine pivot at home, decent favorite, and this lineup, the Angels lineup, is weak overall. Might be even weaker if Pujols is out.
Yeah, they're not typically a team that strikes out a lot, but Tanaka has a decent swinging strike rate. His whip is really solid. He doesn't give up a lot of home runs, and he's turned into more of a ground ball pitcher this season. Yeah. So, even if they score a couple runs, they shouldn't kill you. So, if Pujols is out, you're really worrying about Calhoun and Trout.
Yeah, I mean, and really the only opportunity cost at the position is John Lester. If John Lester doesn't go out and, just go 7 or 8 innings, pick up a ton of strikeouts and pick up the win, the, high mark for pitcher fantasy point output is going to be a little lower because there's just not many solid pitchers going today. So you can take some risks, I think, at the position.
Now, looking at the hitters in this game, is there anybody that really stands out to you on either side?
If you believe in guys swinging a hot stick, Cole Calhoun is a guy you're going to want in your lineup. Multi-hit games in 3 straight, including 2 home runs over the weekend. He's got, let's see, it looks like 3 home runs in his last 6 or 7 games. So he's swinging a really hot stick right now. will be low owned in this matchup, so I like him in tournaments. On the Angels side of things, or on the Yankees side of things, I think they're an interesting team. I mean, the main components are pretty darn cheap. You can get Brian McCann at a pretty cheap price tag around the industry. Ellsbury, Gardner, A-Rod's back in the lineup. So I like the Yankees here. I think they offer some value. The price tags are cheap enough that you can play them in cash games, and definitely a team to stack up when they're at home, especially when they face a right-handed pitcher.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. I'm not going to go out of my way to pick on either one of these pitchers because, like I said, Schumacher's pitched good over the last, 3 starts now. So not going to go out of my way to pick on him. But if I do pick on him, I'm going to, probably take, we get Gardner, A-Rod, Ellsbury, McCann, all these guys under 3,600 on FanDuel. It's too cheap.
Yeah.
So you can make a pretty good stack there. Let's talk Lester. Adam Morgan, John Lester facing off at Philadelphia. So the thing that really stands out to me the most about Lester here, he's a huge favorite, and his team should give him a ton of run support.
Yeah, I mean, massive, 250-plus point favorite. I think they're minus right around 250. It's a big-time number on the road. The Cubs obviously should not have much issue scoring runs on Adam Morgan. So the likelihood for the win is very, very high for him on a site like FanDuel. I think that's obviously way more important. You get a lot more points for the win opposed to some of these other sites. Likely be very popular, and it's super easy to fit them in for the most part. There's going to be a decent amount of value hitters that arise once lineups are out. So definitely going to be the most popular play. Will be the chalk play at the position. Most likely to pick up the win. There's no doubt about it. And when it's all said and done, most likely to have the most fantasy points. And I don't really think you can make that much of an argument against it.
I'm usually a contrarian guy. Everybody knows that. I'm all about the contrarian life. John Lester's the number one play, and it's really not that close today. Maybe Tanaka could outscore Lester if Tanaka has one of those games where, he just pitches really good. But it's going to take an excellent game from Tanaka and Lester to get beat up by Philadelphia. Philadelphia striking out 24% of the time, and they have the second lowest WRC plus against left-handed pitching this season. Lester's just the play today. We say it with Kershaw and some of these guys from time to time. Lester's the ace on the hill today.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, the competition for that spot is weak as well. So he's got just a plus matchup, and there's just not a Kershaw. There's not a Bumgarner. There's not. I mean, you look to some of the better pitching environments. There's weak pitchers going in those games too. So the competition is just not there at the position. Like you said, he's the top guy, and it's really not even that close.
Yeah, when you're looking at the pitching slate, it's Lester, Tanaka, Matz, Archer, Fulmer. Archer and Happ are facing, or Fulmer and Happ are facing off each other. We'll talk about that in a minute. Archer's at Arizona. He's struggling this season. And Matz has to pitch against a really right-handed Pittsburgh lineup, so he's less than ideal as well. So we'll talk about all that here in a minute, but it's really hard to get off Lester here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just no doubt about it.
Adam Morgan really struggles with righties, almost a 35% hard contact rate. The home run fly ball ratio is high. The fly ball ratio is high. Love Chris Bryant, Ben Zobrist, Dexter Fowler here a lot in this game.
Yeah, Soler, if he gets a decent lineup spot, Baez, I mean, the list goes on. It's just such a plus matchup. Cubs have the guys that can do the damage against right-handed pitching. I wouldn't even write off Rizzo in a lefty-lefty matchup. I think he's elite for tournaments. The whole lineup in play here. I mean, just a very plus matchup, a nice park shift heading to Philadelphia as well. So just a lot in their favor. These bats will be popular, but, you're going to want some exposure in all sorts of formats.
If you're playing multiple tournament teams, if you're playing, let's say, 10 tournament teams, and you're going to put Lester on maybe 60% of those teams, because, all right, so that, that's my first thoughts. I think that I would make a team in maybe the $5 rally or some, tournament that's not going to cost me a lot of my bankroll and maybe stack 4 of these Philly guys, but that's just a hedge against my pitcher.
Yeah, that's certainly worth a shot. I mean, when you're playing in a tournament where there's 10,000 plus people, being super contrarian can obviously pay off. Lester, like I said, Lester in a great spot, but he's been known to run into some trouble in favorable spots. So, I mean, it's definitely possible. And like I said, don't sink a big portion of your bankroll into stacking the Phillies. That would not make much sense.
Yeah, just if you're going to play Leicester a ton, like I plan to on the slate, hedge one team. That's all I'm saying. New York Mets, Pittsburgh Pirates, Steven Matz, Jonathan Neese. We're talking about Leicester. Let's talk Steven Matz. He's pitched really well this season. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he's pitched really well coming off a pretty disappointing performance, so I think that'll even lower his ownership percentage even more. I think he's a fine pivot off Leicester in tournaments, like you said. You threw out the 60% number. That's super reasonable. I mean, Leicester just in such a better spot than the number 2, 3, 4, 5 guy, at the pitcher position. Get some exposure to Matz. I mean, I think he's definitely a guy that has the upside. He's coming off a bad performance against the White Sox, but gets a team here in the Pittsburgh Pirates, obviously a solid team. But the environment here is super favorable. I mean, PNC Park, I think, one of the worst ballparks for right-handed power hitters in all of baseball. So obviously he's more vulnerable to right-handed bats opposed to left-handed bats, and the power numbers will be neutralized a little bit here. So I think Matz is a fine pivot off Leicester in tournaments if you're looking to go that route. I mean, we both agree Leicester by far the number one guy, going to be super highly owned, but if you're looking to pivot, I think Matz makes a lot of sense.
He makes a lot of sense as far as upside goes. He just doesn't have the floor that Leicester has. He faces a Pirates team who is top 5 in almost every single category against left-handed pitching this season. They're an extremely right-handed heavy lineup, and they're starting to get healthy.
Yeah.
So,
there's no doubt. I mean, there's no doubt. Like I said, it's definitely a large gap between him and Leicester. Obviously, the hope is you go Matz, Leicester somehow gets rocked by the Phillies. Not very likely.
Yeah, I definitely agree. 2 pitcher sites in cash, I still don't think I'll go Matz. I still have one guy that I like a little bit more than Matz in cash, and it's going to be crazy, but we're going to talk about it here in a little while. Yeah. Jonathan Neese, does he do anything for you here against a Mets team who struggles against left-handed pitching?
No, I'd love to pick on him, don't get me wrong, but the Mets lineup has been pretty disappointing for quite some time now. They're missing some big pieces. The lineup that rolled out today was just really, really watered down. I don't know. I mean, if going anywhere, I don't even know where I'd go, to be honest with you, if I was going to pick on Neese here. I mean, Granderson, Conforto kind of out of play in the lefty-lefty matchups. I mean, they're without David Wright. Cespedes, I believe, was out of the lineup again today. He'd be the one guy. So for me, it's like I'm definitely not going Neese, but, to find a bat to pick on him is kind of hard to come by.
One name I'll throw at you just because the position's weak today. Wilmer Flores, 2,500 at shortstop.
Yeah, he batted like 5th, I think, one day over the weekend. So if he's batting 5th, definitely in play. Shortstop, a lot of times, a very tough position to fill.
Yeah, I just don't think it's a game that you target too many of these bats, even though, Pittsburgh has all these right-handed bats. Matz, very comparable pitcher, and just not a great ballpark. I think this is a kind of a stay-away game for me for the most part here. And I would love to pick on Neese. Like you said, I'd love to pick on him, but I just don't see where we can here.
It's like, where do you go? Yeah, it's like super hard to get exposure.
He's a massive ground ball pitcher, so it's just not one of those matchups where I'm going to pick on him. Yeah. Toronto at Detroit, J-Happ against Michael Fulmer. Michael Fulmer, man, I talked about him the last couple times he started, and he hasn't disappointed at all. Is this a matchup you might target him here against Toronto?
Oh, I'd love to. Don't get me wrong. The guy's been, I think, obviously one of the more shining spots on the Tigers season overall. But, man, I don't know. This is a tough spot against the Blue Jays team. They have a lot of guys that can obviously cause some damage. So as much as I'd like to recommend Fulmer, I don't know if I can. The total in this game's opened up at 9. Tigers minor favorites at -125. Different matchup. I mean, basically any other team in the AL comes in there besides like the Red Sox. I think, I'm willing to take a shot. I just don't know if I can do it against the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I think I'm going to on a couple tournament teams just because, dude, he's been legit.
And the Blue Jays will strike out. I mean, they will strike out, and he's been striking batters out. So I can definitely see the case. From a cash games perspective, probably not. Tournaments, I think definitely get some exposure to him in tournaments.
Yeah, the kid has a really solid 49% ground ball rate. He has an 11% swinging strike rate. The contact percentage is right there where you kind of want it. And the Sierra and XFIP suggests like he's not getting unlucky. This guy's actually pitching good. So
Yeah.
the eye test on this guy, because I've watched him his last couple starts, he's passing the eye test. He's passing the advanced stats test. Why not take a shot on him on a slate where we maybe have 2 or 3 guys with upside?
Yeah, I'm with you. Absolutely.
Now, Jay Happ, on the other hand, he's pitching well this season as well, but it's hard. It's like these two teams. These two teams are probably 2 of the most right-handed heavy teams in baseball, in Pittsburgh. Like, you don't throw left-handed pitchers against those 3 teams, and here's Jay Happ getting to face the Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, I would not touch Jay Happ here in any sort of format. Vegas kind of believes that as well. Like I said, the total's 9 in this game, and he's a pretty decent underdog. So Vegas is obviously not believing in his success, especially in this matchup. So I think you can definitely look to some Tiger bats. I mean, the one guy that's going to be hard to pass up on, especially on FanDuel, Miguel Cabrera, sitting at 3.6K. That's extreme value. It's gonna be a tough spot to pass there. I think I keep bringing him up, and he continues to suck. But I mean, Justin Upton is a guy that I think is going to get. He'll turn the season around at some point. He's been dreadful, really cheap around the industry. I think a great one-off tournament option. JD Martinez, Maybin, Kinsler. I think all in play. I mean, I'm definitely siding with the Tigers' offense here over J.A. Happ. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I'm going to have a couple Tiger stacks. It's no secret at this point of the season, right, Mike? Like, anytime, I get a chance to take a Tiger stack, I'm going to do it. They just they have too much power in this lineup. And when you're looking at J Happ's, advanced stats, the advanced stacks are expecting regression. So, why not regress against a team that's really good against lefties?
Exactly. It makes a ton of sense. I mean, definitely tournament stackable, cash game playable, all formats.
Any Blue Jay bats that you like here?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, Donaldson's cheap in a few spots. I think maybe him, but it's going to be more tournament plays. There's just I don't know. Fulmer's been really good, and it's a negative park shift for the Blue Jays heading to Comerica Park. So I'm not looking to get a ton of exposure to Blue Jays, and the one name, I guess, Russell Martin, kind of, I guess, heating up a little bit. He had a home run today. He's cheap in a few spots, but not overly excited about any of these guys.
I'm with you, man. I'm believing in the Michael Fulmer hype train for one more start here. Houston at Texas. This is a game that we can definitely look at for some bats. Colby Lewis, Michael Fiers. Colby Lewis, he's been so good or so bad all season, and kind of just right into round with what he is. But I think this is a spot that we can look at bats from both sides.
Yeah, I don't care what Colby Lewis has done or how good he's looked. I will always think he sucks. It doesn't matter what he does. I will be looking to take bats against him. Basically, no matter what, both sides here, you're going to want to fire away. Another guy, if you believe in hot streaks, Evan Gattis is a guy that you are going to want to play. Home runs in 3 straight games, make that 4 out of 5 games. He had a 4-hit game over the weekend. The guy is absolutely in fuego. His price tag is also on the rise. So, I mean, maybe that'll make some people overlook him a little bit. But they're all these guys are in play. I mean, no lineup in baseball, maybe a couple, but for the most part, not many lineups in baseball have as much upside as the Houston Astros lineup does. Super favorable hitting environment here in Texas. So Astros bats in play, Texas bats in play. You can just fire away here, basically.
Yeah, I love Colby Rasmus. His price across the industry down everywhere. Evan Gattis was $3K on DK on Sunday. $3K.
Yeah. Crazy.
He was an autoplay, and he was only 18% owned. People overlook Evan Gattis on DraftKings because of the outfield eligibility. Dude, he's a great tournament play. I love that call. Love the Houston bats here. One of my top stacks on the slate. I like Texas as well in my next fantasy draft play here that I'm going to look at in cash games. hoping that he stays in the lineup because Odor is back, but he did stay in the lineup on Sunday. Multiple hits, Mike, in 7 out of the last 8 games, batting leadoff. Profar, he's just too cheap on fantasy draft. If he's in the lineup, play him.
Oh, absolutely. So he led off and Odor batted 5th. I think it was 2 games over the weekend, or it was just today. I'm not sure, but
I know for a fact it was today.
Yeah, if that's the case, I mean, absolutely. This dude he's a good ball player. There's just no doubt about it. The matchups, obviously, plus here, nice hitting environment. He's on fire. That's insane. Yeah, 7 out of 9 games with multiple hits. That's just crazy. The price is just way, 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 way too cheap on him. And I don't think that's going to be the case for long, because I'm guessing those algorithms are going to start to kick in, and next thing you know, this is a guy that's going to be priced up and we're going to be paying up for. So take advantage of the price break while it lasts. He should continue to lead off. I can't imagine they're going to drop him in the order or drop him out of the lineup with Odor back.
How do you take him out of the lineup? That's my if you're the Texas coach, how do you take out a guy 7 out of the last 8 games that's had a multi-hit? It's just you can't do that.
No. Or he should be fired.
Yeah, exactly. Mazzara is another guy that stands out to me here. He's only $3K. I like these Texas bats on the cheap, man. We got all these guys under $3K that we like. Mazzara, Profar, Odor, Mitch Moreland, Prince Fielder, all these guys under $3K.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a note on, I know Profar on DraftKings has multiple position eligibility. On a site like FanDuel, him and Profar and Odor play the same position, so everybody's going to be going to Profar. Odor has some upside. He'll be batting 5th. He'll be extremely, extremely low owned. I like that pivot a ton in tournaments.
Yeah, he actually did play Saturday as well. They both did, and Odor had a multi-hit game, his first game back. So
the ownership discrepancy is going to be massive. So I like that pivot in tournaments.
Yep. I like it as well. Tampa at Arizona. This is a game that I like a lot. And I don't know what the ownership's going to be, because when we're looking at the slate, we have a couple good ballparks to hit in. Baltimore, New York, Philadelphia. Arizona, definitely the best one on the slate. Chris Archer just hasn't looked like Chris Archer, and Robbie Ray struggles against righties, and we're looking at a Tampa right-handed heavy lineup.
This is a dream spot for it's a good spot for cash games. I think it's a dream spot for GPPs, because on the Tampa Bay side of things, people really don't play Rays bats. I don't know. They're always super, super low owned. I think a lot of it's like name recognition. They have, the main components of their lineup, Guy or Souza, just not household names. I think they just go under owned for that reason. This matchup is super elite. They're going to load up with a lot of righties that have made careers out of hitting left-handed pitching. The 2 guys I mentioned, you can add Steve Pearce, elite play today, Evan Longoria. They are a team that shuffles their lineup a little bit, so we really want to see this lineup, see who's at the top, who's in the heart of the order. Could get some value out of this as well. So love the Rays. And then I have no issue picking on Chris Archer, just not the same guy this season. He's gotten rocked on quite a few occasions. Diamondbacks have some bats that can do some damage. I think my favorite play from this game is probably Jake Lamb. Should be batting 4th. Was really hot early on. Price got up there. Well, the price is starting to come back down now, so I think he's a good value. I think he's fine play in cash games. I'd have no issue taking a look at Paul Goldschmidt on FanDuel, 3.4K. 3.4K. I've never seen that on attached to Paul Goldschmidt. So I think he's an elite tournament play, potentially cash game playable, to be honest with you. Another team here that kind of juggles their lineup a little bit, so we're going to want to see who's hitting at the top of the order. But love this game overall. Love it for GPPs. I love it for cash games too.
One thing that we do want to note here, Brandon Guyer went to the DL.
Okay.
That's something that we definitely want to note. And the Rays are going to lose their DH spot, which is always interesting as well, going to Arizona here. Steve Pearce, my final play here on Fantasy Draft, 3rd play, cash game playable over there at 6,800. Steve Pearce mashes left-handed pitching. Robbie Ray struggles with righties. I agree with everything you said. Like, you made it so easy for me here, Mike.
That's why I'm here.
Like, I love the Tampa stack in tournaments. I love Jake Lamb as a one-off tournament play, and Goldschmidt's too cheap on FanDuel. Like, you nailed it.
Hey, I'm here to make your life easy.
Now, I do want to note one thing, and I didn't think that we'd actually ever get to say this, but Evan Longoria, home runs in 4 straight games, 5 home runs in the last 4 games. He is hot.
Yeah.
So
That's hot. That's hot.
I think he's going to be really popular today.
Yeah, I think so. Potentially. I don't know. Like I said, I've just, from what I've seen in tournaments, just the ownership on these guys it's always super low. I don't know. Well, I'll be curious. I'll be super curious to see his ownership because he definitely has the most name recognition out of this entire lineup.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the highest owned. And you know who else is hot? But it's a lefty-lefty matchup, but you want to monitor it?
Morrison. Just mashing. I
played him on Sunday, and he was like 8% owned, and he had 2 home runs, and I just smashed my head.
Oh, yeah. 4 home runs in his last 3 games. Like Logan Morrison. Are you kidding me?
He was it like 31 games without an RBI, and now all of a sudden, like,
he just bomb after bomb.
Oh, nice. All right. It still makes me laugh to this day, but we'll move on. Atlanta at San Diego. Williams Perez, big old Williams Perez here.
Yes.
Kristen Frederick. I kind of hinted that I like a pitcher in cash games as a 2-pitcher SP2. It's Frederick, man. And I mentioned it before we went live here. Just who hurts him in this lineup? Atlanta struggles with lefties, and this guy's actually been pitching pretty good.
Yeah, so you and I were going back and forth before the show, and kind of talked about who's the best right-handed or the best right-handed bat in the Braves lineup against left-handed pitching, and it's like either Jeff Francoeur or Tyler Flowers. Like, what? Like, that's so terrible. So it totally makes sense. This guy can be super cheap. If you want to pair him up with it, maybe John Lester on a multiple pitcher site, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think it's worth a shot in tournaments too, even on 1-pitcher sites such as FanDuel. I mean, he's 5.8K on FanDuel. You can just load up on every single bet you want. You want to stack the Cubs, go ahead. You want to stack the Astros, go ahead. If Lester doesn't go out and have a monster performance, you'd probably be in good shape because those offenses should have some solid success. So very interesting play. And, I definitely like the call. No doubt about that.
Yeah. When we're looking at Frederick, he's a guy that struggles with walks, but Atlanta only walks 6.1% of the time against lefties, which is the 3rd lowest in baseball. So only the Rangers and the Athletics walk less than the Braves against lefties. So that should help him. And he gets a massive ballpark shift here going to San Diego. And I expect him to get some run support. I don't like Williams Perez here.
No.
And the Padres bats have been swinging hot bats. We don't know what's going on in the Sunday. They're playing Sunday late, but they're facing my boy John Gray, so they're probably getting dominated.
Yeah, most likely. It's hard to pinpoint which bats you want, but I'm with you. I think the Padres do score some runs here. I'd be interested in John Jay if he's cheap on the website you're playing on. Matt Kemp, I think, offers some nice upside. Will Myers. I mean, it's just hard to get excited about playing the Padres. Like I said, I'm with you. I think they do score runs here. Just hard to pinpoint where they're going to come from.
Yeah, Will Myers is my favorite play here. Everything he's hitting it hard right now. So I love that. I don't know why, but I think it was because they started scoring so many runs. I been watching them over the last couple nights. But Will Myers is hitting the ball hard. I like him. I like your John Jay call if he's cheap. Melvin Upton Jr., if he's in the lineup and he's in a good, favorable spot, he's a guy that'll steal you some bases. And I like his upside here in this matchup against a guy like Perez.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Any Braves bats that you want to take? We both. I don't know if we both, but I like Frederick a lot. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to really target too many Braves here.
I'd be fine punting catcher with Tyler Flowers. Like I said, he should get a pretty good lineup spot. Hopefully 5th, maybe 5th or 6th. I think he'd still be in play if batting in one of those spots as well. Got to be close to the minimum, basically on any site. So he's the one bat that does stand out to me. If you're going to punt catcher, I would have no problem going with him.
Yeah, Adonis Garcia, if he's in the 4 spot, he's 2,200. You might want to take a shot on him in some tournaments. Outside of that, man, I'm not going to go out of my way to get Jeff Francoeur or Beckham in my lineup.
No, I'm with you.
Colorado at Los Angeles, Tyler Chatwood, Mike Bolsinger. What's your thoughts on these 2 guys?
No thanks, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's really tough. I mean, Bolsinger, what is pretty small favorite, I guess. What's he sitting at? -125. I don't know. I don't like either of these guys, I guess, to be honest with you. Chatwood has shown some upside this season, but I don't know. Dodgers, they're finally getting their lineup together right. Thompson batted third today, which I think is definitely the right move. Agon in there batting fourth. Seager just on fire right now. He had 2 multiple home run games over the weekend. A lot of bats on fire actually right now. Yeah. So, he had a 3 home run game. He had a 3 home run game Friday. He had 2 today. So different matchup maybe on Chatwood, but I can't do it here. So no thanks to either of these guys.
You remember the podcast Friday? I was like, Seager's just way too cheap on FanDuel and DraftKings. Yeah. I made some good money on Friday night because of Corey Seager. He's hot, man. There's just no other words to put it. He gets a good matchup here against Chatwood. I do want to note, a couple of things here about Chatwood. Against left-handed bats, he has a .26 home run per 9, and this is even at Coors Field. It mixes in both. This is going back to last season as well.
In the right matchup, I think he's a guy to target. Like if he's in San Diego, I definitely look to him. This matchup I just don't like, but continue on.
Yeah, he really excels against lefties, looking at everything. The only thing that he doesn't really excel against lefties is, his strikeout rate's only 15.7%, but no hard contact. He actually has the best WOBA of all pitchers pitching today against left-handed bats. So if there's a matchup that he can excel in, it's this one. It's just one problem, and it's that shortstop for the Dodgers, Corey Seager.
Yeah, it's tough spot. Different type of matchup. Yeah, I think I'd be more excited. The numbers, like you said, are good, but these guys are hot. They're messing with their lineup a little bit, getting the guys in the right places. Like I said, Thompson batting third. Seager's really hot. Jock Peterson will be in there. I don't know. Not a big fan of this matchup here.
Jock is ice cold for what it's worth.
He is.
Gosh,
absolutely.
He's ice cold. Bolsinger, he doesn't really stand out to me. One bat that really stands out for me here is Carlos Gonzalez. He went on that little cold streak, and ever since that cold streak, he had a ball. I don't remember. I think they were at Boston. He hit a line drive into left center off of a lefty, and ever since that at bat, the guy's just been El Fuego, and I love him here in this matchup. He hit a home run right before we got on the podcast. He's hot.
Yep. Absolutely. He's heating up. Price tag should be reasonable all around the industry. And, a lot of times people just write off the Rockies when they're on the road, so ownership should be pretty low, like him as a one-off tournament option as well.
Don't mind Blackman, Arenado. These guys in tournaments, don't mind those guys. I like the lefties here more than I like the righties. So Blackman, Cargo, the guys having a target. Last game of the night, we got Cleveland at Seattle. Trevor Bauer against James Paxton. Paxton, one start this season. It was ugly. It was really ugly. He got shelled by the Padres.
Good thing he was not DFS playable that day. I think he got called up and was not eligible on any site because people would have played him, in San Diego against the Padres. He got rocked. Yeah, I guess there's really no other way to put it.
Yeah, he I don't even remember how many runs he gave up, but he gave up 10 hits. He still struck out 7 in 3 2/3, but the 7 strikeouts was more the Padres than anything.
Yeah.
The problem here is, where do we pick on him? Like Cleveland, outside of Mike Napoli is a great tournament option here on the slate, but outside of that, they're really left-handed heavy.
Yeah, that is the problem. So I think, like you said, Napoli probably the best play here, but he's priced up. He's been hitting some bombs, so the price has adjusted accordingly. The one bet I would look to get some exposure to, maybe Rajai Davis, if he's leading off, should be reasonably priced. A really good hitter against left-handed pitching, so I think he would be probably my favorite guy.
Yeah, he's only 6,300 over on draft. He's pretty cheap on FanDuel.
Great price. Yeah, it's a great price.
Lindor, another guy that hits left-handed pitching well. Those are the 3 guys I want. Napoli being my favorite for tournaments, though. He's hitting the ball really good right now.
Absolutely.
Now, looking at Trevor Bauer, is there anybody that you want to target here against him?
I certainly don't like him. I don't know. Obviously, there's better spots. I mean, in Safeco here, a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. Do I want to pay a top dollar price for Robinson Cano? Probably not. If I'm going to pay up for Lester, probably not even feasible. Nelson Cruz, much better hitter against left-handed pitching than right-handed pitching. Kyle Seager's priced up. So honestly, I'll probably be passing. I think they're really good. I think they're really good playing tournaments, though, to be honest with you, because I think a lot of people will have that same mindset. And, I'm not going to pay this top dollar price for these guys in Seattle. So I think for tournaments, absolutely. I mean, this has been one of the more productive offenses in baseball the first half of the season. The Mariners have been really solid overall, solid offensive unit. So I think it makes sense in tournaments and cash games. I don't think it's the optimal route to go.
Yeah, Bauer, a guy that he has a pretty nice hard contact rate to lefties, more of a fly ball pitcher than a ground ball pitcher. It's almost neutral, but I think if I'm going to pay up for Cano and Seager, I'm just going to go ahead and throw in like a Seth Smith and a Cruz and just do a 4-man.
Yeah, I think it's all or nothing type situation.
Yeah, I think I'm there. I'm with you there because like paying a one-off play for like a Cano or Seager, you're almost pot committed at that point.
Exactly.
That's going to wrap it up here for the 10 games. A lot of great info from Mike today, man. You're on the point here.
I'm just trying to keep up with you, man.
Let's play some home run derby. I know you got one on me on Friday. I think you got two. I had one on Friday, so we'll see if you can keep it going here. I'll let you lead it off.
All right, I'm gonna go Paul Goldschmidt against Chris Archer.
I like it. You started right off with one of these contrarian plays.
I like I said, man. I gotta come at you. I gotta come at you strong.
All right, I'm gonna go JD Martinez. I'm not gonna go too crazy here.
JD. All right, I like that. I'm gonna go chalky on this one. All right, I'm gonna go Chris Bryant.
All right, I'm gonna let you go chalky. I like that call. I like the Cubs a lot. I'm going back to your first game here, and I'm going Evan Longoria.
Like that. I do like that a lot.
Right? Take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Give me Miguel Cabrera.
Miggy, can't you see this guy is still good at whatever, how old he is? Last one here. I like that Cubs game. Where can I be different? I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Ben Zobrist. He hits left-handed pitching. He hits much better from the right-handed side. I'm going to go Zobrist.
I like that. Like it.
At the end of the night, if you had to pick one pitcher not named John Lester to pick up a win, who would it be?
Give me Tanaka. I think he'll end up facing a pretty watered down lineup there against the Angels. The main issue obviously is going to be the strikeouts. I think it comes down to whether or not he strikes guys out. Hasn't had more than 4 strikeouts in his last 3 starts. So if he's able to find a few more strikeouts, he could have a good fantasy outing. But I think he's a pretty safe bet to pick up the win.
All right, this might be a biased call, and it just might be me wanting to will this guy to a victory, but it's going to be Christian Fedrick. I'm going to play him. I'm going to, if you see me at the top of the leaderboard with him, I'm going to be playing him quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, if he has a good game, I'm guessing you will be at the top. So let's see.
Oh, you can get so many bats. Oh man, yeah. You can get so many bats with his price tag on FanDuel.
Nope.
So make sure, speaking of FanDuel, I know Dan's going to talk about this on the Fantasy Fix. I know this is a fantasy drafts show, but hey, we have to mention cool things when we see them in the industry. And FanDuel has a 3-day MLB Survivor starting on Monday. Make sure you guys check that out. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's already like a third full or something. So, good thing we're noting this out on the, early podcast here, so you can hop on and get your entries because it's going to fill up. There's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of time. So make sure you hop in there. I think so. What, $50 price point?
Yeah, very fair.
Yeah, that's a good price point there. So, definitely give it a look. I think it goes 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days. Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yep. It's a cool tournament.
All right, and make sure you guys check out our sponsor site, fantasydraft.com. $10,000 home run here. It's a great slate to be contrarian and different. This is a great tournament night to have a $10,000 home run over on Fantasy Draft. Check them out. Use promo code Grinders. Support them, support us. Do what you have to do to make sure this podcast stays alive. Mike, any final thoughts before you get out of here?
No, sir. Fun 10-day slate. Monday, let's get back at it and make some money this week.
All right, I agree there for sure. I hope you guys all had a great weekend. We'll be back on Tuesday. Until then, good luck, and we'll see you then.